What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Theory of a Strum YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I used a major scale and turned it into an actual song on the guitar. Alright, so let's start off. So, in the major scale, many of you guys know the shape, but in this case, let's say we use a C major scale. So you start on the C, so that's going to be 8th fret, E string, then you go up to the 10th, then you go up to the A string, 7th fret, 8th, 10th, D string, 7th, 9th, 10th. That is called the major scale. It continues up further, but these bottom notes are the only ones we're going to be using to formulate the chords today. But we're only going to be using the first 7, which cover every single, basically, note from A through G. Now the C major scale, or just major scales in general, are really useful because they contain no sharps and no flats. So it helps you to, it just helps like with the clutter and stuff. It's a really simple chord, or like obviously pattern for the scales, and it's an awesome one to use. It's nice and simple is what I'm getting at. But we're just gonna be using these 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then it repeats on the octave, which is another C. Okay, so how do we actually build chords from this major scale? So, to build a chord progression, you have to think of each note on this major scale, C through G, or in this case, through here. Each of these notes, you have to think of as a chord. So let's see, C chord, D, E, F, G, this one, here. This is an A, B, C, and it repeats. So it's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now all we have to do is assign numbers to each of those. It's as easy as that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now, all it is, C is equal to 1, D is equal to 2, E is equal to 3, F is equal to 4, G is 5, A is 6, B is 7, oops, sorry, and then it repeats back on C for the 8th. So, once you get that, I'm sure many of you guys have heard of 1-4-5 chord pattern before. So, let me kind of demonstrate that. You may have guessed already, surprise, surprise, that actually ties in for both the chords and in the scale. So 1-4-5, if we play that on the major scale, this is 1, let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. And if we play the full cowboy chords of those, that is just one of the many different chord progressions that you can use. So now you see how you can kind of build chord progressions off of this major scale. it quite literally ties in the notes with the chords. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you can keep going. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. But again, it just repeats an octave higher. So at this point, you could actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And again, repeating on the 8th is a C. Okay, so now let's cover one of the chord progressions that I've used recently in my songs. So in Driftwood Shores, I use this chord pattern. Hold on, let me turn on the right amp. I like this one. This is the amp setting I use for Driftwood Shores, so it's kind of cool. So do you guys see the chord pattern that I'm playing here? It's quite literally the C, which is the 1 on the C major scale, G, which is the 5, like up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the G. So 1, 5, and then I'm playing the 6, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's A minor, and then I would go back to the 4, which builds up that resolution to want to come back to the C. So now that you guys have kind of seen it, how I use it in my songs, I want to cover another important step. So there's this formula to figure out which chords are minor and major. As you saw, it's not just C, D, E, F, G, A, B. There's actually a specific formula that you can use for each of these. Because when I played the A, it was an A minor. Not an A major. It was an A minor. So wait, what is going on here, you might ask? Well, there's a specific formula. It's basically a written rule. So the way the major scale goes, 1, the root note, is always going to be a major. The 2 notes after that, 2 and 3, are always going to be minor. Then the 2 notes after that are always going to be major. In this case, 4 and 5. Always 4 and 5, in fact, in every major scale. And then after that, the 6th is always going to be minor, which is the A minor I was playing down here. And then the 7th is a bit unusual, but it's known as a diminished. How you would play a diminished is kind of like this. Not very commonly used in many pop and rock songs nowadays, but it's still a chord, so just like to keep in mind for jazz or blues, things like that. But yeah, that is the formula. 1 is always going to be major, 2 and 3 is always going to be minor, 4 and 5 is always going to be major, 6 is always going to be minor, and 7 is going to be diminished. See how it leads back to the C. Okay, I think that about wraps up the video. I encourage you guys to try to doodle around in the major scale, see what kind of chord progressions you can come up with. Perhaps use them in your own songs. I challenge you guys to come up, try to be creative with this, try to come up with some unique chord progressions. As usual, guys, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and I'll see you guys in my other videos. Bye.